Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today I want to talk about a couple of characters that have really lost value in the past few months. I just think there's been some teams, characters that their value has kind of declined as we've gotten newer and newer releases, kind of teams getting fleshed out, getting a lot better, and I think it's sort of cost these players some of their spots in the meta. Now, this is coming from a Kyber 1 perspective, but it's a good thing to game plan for as you're getting into some of those later stages, that if some of these things really aren't, that effective in something like K1, even in Kyber 2, I was seeing a lot of this, it may be worth kind of pumping the brakes and trying to work on something that will be, effective there. So, like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Let's give a huge shout out to our channel members for their continued support. I do need to do some updates to this, guys. I appreciate all of your guys' patience as I work through this. Again, these are just, it's not that they're like the most time consuming, but they do take time, and it's just been, I've had a hell of a couple of days, so I do apologize, everybody. Let's get in here, do our intro, talk about these characters. All right, and that's kind of perfectly timed because the music cut out there too. So let's get into this video. Let's talk about it, guys. All right, number one, we're going to talk about Dr. Aphra. So this character, I've said a lot, she's reached her peak. She's got her broken datacron every, once a year. The territory battle missions for her and her requirements, we know that, right? She's a known quantity. It's not like she's going to be needed for anything else in the future as of right now. That could change, but I kind of view her like Starkiller, that both of them have kind of reached their peak. The difference is Starkiller is much less datacron dependent. Now, with her datacron, Dr. Aphra is far superior to Starkiller offensively. But without that datacron, she just kind of falls apart, in my opinion. It's something that I'm seeing a lot of players in Kyber 1 not using. And just kind of like a little, I don't know, fun fact for you guys here, just to show you something, because this I found was very interesting. Of course, my screen capture isn't working. Hold on one second. Let's go. Come on. I'm trying to show you guys SWGOH here, because I wanted to show you an interesting thing. There we go. All right, pull that up here. So this was my current GAC bracket. I ended up going 2 for 1. I ended up going, 2 wins, 1 loss. What I want to show you guys, I was the only one without Dr. Aphra. Of all, everybody else, other players had Bo-Katan, but look, I was the only one without Dr. Aphra, still managed 2 wins. So that's kind of why I said and again, you'd be like, oh, well, I'm not Fat Phil, or like, guys, I'm telling you, it's not overly challenging to win without her. She's just not, I guarantee you most of those players, if they did use her, it was on a team that they could have beat with something else. Obviously, Terran Malicos, Darth Bane, no, I'm kidding. They're just placeholders. All right, you got to hear me out on this, but I think that Iden Versio and General Veers kind of together lost a good bit of their value. Let me show you first the reason, and that is our good man, Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. So he came into, Dark Trooper Moff Gideon has the Imperial Remnant tag and not an Imperial Trooper tag, which is very important. So when you look at the Imperial Troopers, right, you'll notice we have, 13 of them, right? So you start kind of putting the pieces together, and you're like, okay, well, pre-Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, you had Iden and, Scout Trooper, Death Trooper, Storm, whatever, and then you had Veers, Moff Gideon, Piet, Range Trooper, Dark Trooper, right? You kind of had these, like, aligned places. Well, Dark Trooper Moff Gideon came in and said, yeah, you know what? I don't want Dark Trooper, right? I don't like Dark Trooper in my team. But I do like Scout Trooper, I do like Death Trooper, I do like Stormtrooper, and I do like Moff Gideon himself. And so he stole a lot of these characters that you would get to use with the other Imperial Troopers. With General Veers, the reason why I think he's kind of taken a big step back is without Moff Gideon, the thing with Moff Gideon, his base speed is just so much faster than Piet, right? We're looking at 368 with plus 70 there. And when you look at Admiral Piet, I've also got 170 speed, and yet I'm only 349. So Moff Gideon has a much faster, like, base speed than Admiral Piet does, which allows Gideon to, obviously get out there faster, that you can outspeed, really fast Finns with your Moff Gideon. Even I've seen people outspeed Echo from the Bad Batch at times, where Piet just doesn't have the speed to do that. So even with good mod quality. So it's one of these areas where, because you're taking that guy away from the Veers team, it really drops the teams you can beat on offense with this stuff. It's still a decent cleanup team, but then you've also poached Scout Trooper, Death Trooper, Stormtrooper from your Iden team. And so now you're kind of left with this menagerie of Imperial Troopers, because Iden doesn't really like Death Trooper. She doesn't like General Veers, and she doesn't like Piet because she wants non-lead, non-droids. So then that leaves you with like Colonel Stark and Scout Trooper, Range Trooper, and then, you know, you're looking at characters like Shore Trooper or, you know, Magma Trooper. So my point here is that these characters have kind of lost some of that value because the best of them, I wouldn't say the best, but like some very important pieces to them went to Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. And that's from a Kyber 1 perspective, because below Kyber 1, you probably don't need Moff Gideon to outrun stuff, but you will start to see Imperial Troopers, you know, use less and less, because as, you know, defenses change, there's less things that they can beat, because unfortunately they're very susceptible to a lot of the buffs and debuff, or a lot of debuffs and, you know, mechanics that are getting added to this game. So, and again, and I think Iden, you know, very similarly there, Iden, with that situation that you've really made her team a lot weaker without Scout Trooper, because again, you're opening up for Wampa to come in there and just destroy you. So we'll talk about that as well. But yeah, you got to hear me out on that one, that I really think these guys have lost some of that. And if you're asking why Piet isn't on the list, because you can use him with Lord Vader, and he's actually very good with Lord Vader. He adds, I'd honestly say that sometimes I get more scared of Piet inside that Lord Vader team than I do Maul, because I know how to handle Maul, right? Like, we know that. But when, this is what gets so scary, if Piet, you know, he's going to mark Lord Vader, and Piet calls an assist, if you get Lord Vader twice, man, he could delete people left and right. All right, now this is a very hot take, but I think Supreme Leader Kylo Ren has definitely lost value in the past couple of months. Where this comes from is watching all these other characters get better, get additions to them, right? And Kylo kind of just not so much. The other thing with Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, the reason why I'd say he's lost value, is a lot of other teams, like even like the Seer Junda team, still steals banners from Kylo. You know, Jabba came out, Leia came out, all of these teams kind of came out, and Kylo still really struggles with banners. It's the biggest problem in his kit, is that he has some of the worst banners in the game because he has no protection recovery possible, and oftentimes the rest of his team just gets decimated. You know, the reason why Rey is such a great, at least offensive banners at times, is because you can just keep your team topped off with that bonus protection and lifeblood. But SLKR, he just like ditches his team and is like, I'm not taking damage, but you are. So give me 1 second. Dobby, quit scratching. Cat's scratching my walls, man. I'm telling you guys. Y'all know. You guys can shout out Dobby in the comments. So yeah, very hot take on Kylo there, but I think that his value has been declining because if you can't get good banners, he becomes a little bit of a liability on offense. Not that you still can't use him, don't get me wrong, but his value has decreased. I'm not using him often against Galactic Legends, or I'm using him with babysitters to beat those things. So I really think Kylo has lost value, and I think that was a big reason why he was in the Lightspeed bundles. Pardon for the interruption yet again. I've been getting, like, I swear, I cannot get a video out in one take anymore because somebody's doing something. So, let's talk Sith Eternal here. Now, Bane is not a lifter for Sith Eternal. Like, lifter my ass. Like, Bane is his own character right now. He's not nerfed yet. I don't know if they will, honestly, because Bane has, one, he's like a fantastic character, but I think more than that, it's, unfortunately, I think Bane's problem is that there's no, like, if you're like, oh, well, he works unless there's a Galactic Legend present. And you're like, well, like, it just would get, I feel like the only way they fix it is, you know, if there's a Galactic Legend on the team, none of this stuff works unless the Eternal's present, and then it just becomes a mess. Like, I think, unfortunately, they've kind of screwed themselves on that one, where, like, there's not, you know, your clauses to make that stop are just not good. But here's the reason I really think Sith Eternal is losing a lot of his, like, luster, is so many teams are stopping, like, for example, one of the big problems is against, like, GL Leia. This dude, when he hits ultimate, if he even gets there, right? The ability for him to get to his ultimate a second time, right? To get there a second time, it's completely reliant on him getting this cooldown reduction from, deceived enemies, and Leia stops that. So there's a big problem there. Obviously, we know the Jedi Master Kenobi stuff, but I think with Sith Eternal, the problem I have is he's just awful at bleeding banners. His mastery gain is really poor. Like, he times out against Jabba, if you can even get it down to just a 1v1. I really think this character needs a complete facelift. And honestly, I think he needs either, like, new stats, right? You either have to make him an attacker, or you need to make him, like, a tank or support. Or, like, I don't like the way that his kit, I feel like it's an awful kit for a Galactic Legend. He's great in against, like, a lot of, like, low GL squads, but even, like, Reva can delete this guy. And why would you use, Savage Press with your, like, Sith Eternal? Like, be like, oh, use Savage Press. Like, why would I use Savage Press when I can use that with the Traya team and beat something else that, like, Sith Eternal can't beat? I unfortunately really think this character just has lost a lot of steam from, Inquisitors. Even, like, I've watched, depending on the team you set with this, General Grievous beats this. So, yeah, like, I can't say that this guy's values continue to decline, and I was really hoping Bane would elevate it, and it's just not. Like, what I'm finding, like, my GACs lately, I'm using Sith Eternal to solo a team, and then I'm using Darth Bane to go beat a GL. Like, I lifter my ass. All right, I am standing firm on this, that you want to hold fast on anything else on your Sith Assassins. The amount of players, like, my fleet shard, I'm watching Relic 9 Sith Assassins get climbed on every single day by people with lower Relic Sith Assassins, by people with 5-star Executors, by people with Profundity, the Chimera. Like, I am sorry, but this is a massive mistake, especially if you're going to get Leviathan for the first time. Don't bother doing this upgrade. You want to be smart, save it for whatever is coming next. The amount of people who equip this, and I think are going to crash and burn with future requirements because they invested this Relic 9. You think, oh, it's only one Relic 9 fill. That's a Relic 9 that I have over them, that I've got in my back pocket, that when I need to use it, I can. They are so expensive, and I just am going to stand firm that this character, and the thing is, this is why I always say it, all those examples I said of, hey, the only time it really matters is bringing this fleet on offense. But if you come up against somebody who also has a Relic 9, now you're leaving it to a coin flip. And do you really want to do that? The answer is no. I'd rather just use a counter fleet. So, I'm sorry, but, like, I really am going to stand firm on this. I think this Relic is losing value every single day that we get closer to the next capital ship. Every single day that somebody gets closer to their 7-star Profundity, Chimera fleets, Scythe, all that stuff. I'm telling you guys, stand firm, stay strong, keep off. All right. Now this is a sad part of this, but our king is definitely losing some value in Kyber 1. It's unfortunate. It's a sad day. It's a sad day in the Fat Phil Empire. This is obviously my favorite character in this game, right? For so many reasons. And I smile when I get to use Wampa, and it's not really happening in GAC anymore. Now, with some Datacrons going away, maybe he comes back, but it's in Kyber 1, I've been noticing that there's a lot less teams that Wampa can beat. And I think that it makes sense, right? Because as you get a larger and larger roster, you're able to throw more stuff on defense. Like, for a long time, this is still a great investment. I would tell you that this is still one of the best Omicrons in the game, especially because you need Wampa for, like, a farm anyway. But in Kyber 1, it's definitely losing a lot of its value. There's still times I have used it, and I think in 3v3, it's a little bit more common to be able to use it, but 5v5, man, it's rough. And it sucks, because I love this guy, but it is definitely a struggle to be able to use Wampa regularly in Grand Arena, and it's tough, man. Like, so, and I say this because I know a lot of you probably look at this, and, like, I want to make sure everybody understands that this is a meme, right? At the end of the day, Wampa is king, okay? In the comments, Wampa is king. But this is 100% a meme, right? Like, I do not want you guys taking your Wampa to Relic 9. Like, that is for me, you know, like, that is for operations. Like, if I, like, you think about it, you know, Wampa at Relic 8 was as a celebration for hitting 5,000 subscribers. And, like, I feel like that should give you guys enough to tell you, like, if you really pay attention to my channel, you would know that I would never have done that outside of the fact that he's my favorite character. So, you know, yeah. I think this list really does show you, and it's funny, it's all like dark side, but I think it really does show you that characters are beginning to lose some value in the, like Kyber 1. And I think as you're, you know, moving up in the game and you're like, hey, Phil, I'm approaching 8 million. Should I relic Dark Trooper? It's like, probably not. I'd go, you know, invest that gear somewhere else. Hey, Phil, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, I'm getting Leviathan. What relic should I do? Like, skip Sith Assassin. So that's the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts. I love you all. May the Force be with you. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.